Bring content to the screen. Oh, I see. Yes. I'm like trying to figure this thing out. Okay, so I got to click on this bring content. All right, let me know when you guys see that content. Can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, let me put it on presentation mode. Come on. Still loading to presentation. I can see. All right, thank you. Hopefully they'll get this on presentation mode here. It's a browser-based PowerPoint presentation. Okay, someone says did not see the screen. Okay, let me stop really quick. Actually, Sai, can I ask you if you can share instead? It's trying to load, but it's not loading for me. All right, we'll give it probably a minute or two just to make sure we have everyone kind of trickling in here. All right, Sai, I think you have to press that button to share. I mean, I think I could do it. Bring content to screen. Okay. There you go. Oh, it disappeared. It disappeared, Sai.
Yeah, I think it was sharing what when you said you want to bring, so I just removed it. Can you see now? I think it is
No,
taking time.
you have to press that bring presenter, that toggle, bring content on screen on the left-hand side. There you go. All right. Some people coming in. We could get started. This session is recorded as well. So after this webinar, we will then send out to um, uh, individuals who had registered for this webinar. So this webinar session, we're going to talk about building your own custom Copilot agents with Business Central. But before we showcase that, yeah, what we're going to do is kind of talk about the different versions of Copilot. There's plenty of different versions out there. We'll talk a little bit about the M365 version and what that is, and then we'll do some kind of building an agent from scratch, connecting it to Business Central. And then we'll also touch base a little bit about the MCP server. So we'll have a little bit of time at the very end as well for any Q&A that you may have or questions you may have. You can also put it on the chat. A little bit about me. My name is Christopher Ruyeras. I am a Microsoft MVP on the business application side. My role here at Taguna is VP of Business Development. So, but I do have a technical background. I've been in the dynamic space for roughly almost 2 decades. Got introduced to Nav way back in 2006. So version Nav 2.4, and fell in love with the product since then. Okay, Sai, introduce yourself, please.
Yeah, sure. Good morning and everyone. My name is Sai Turlapati. I'm Microsoft MVP. I work in Tigunia as a CRM solution consultant focused on Dynamics 365 sales, service, and Microsoft AI solutions. A lot of integrations with Business Central also.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate it, Sai. And Sai, you're a Microsoft MVP on the Copilot side.
Right. I'm Copilot and Power Platform side. So And now the Copilot Studio is part of the Power Platform. So to answer your question, that's correct. I'm the MVP.
Perfect. All right.
Microsoft
And I'm
AI and
out.
the agents. Go ahead.
Perfect. I'm out here based in Washington State, and Sai, you're based in Illinois,
Michigan. I am based in
Michigan.
Michigan, Lansing, the capital city of Michigan, Lansing.
All right. Very good. Very good. All right. Well, we'll move on to the agenda for today and what we're going to be covering. So we have a lot to cover. Primarily, a lot of this will cover about the demo and showing you how you can connect to Business Central using Copilot. The one thing that we won't talk about today is licensing. Just a little caveat there. So if you do have any questions about licensing and what it would take to start implementing this in your organization, you can always reach out to us and we'll talk about that. We'll get you connected to our licensing expert. It requires a full person kind of understanding the licensing because of the fact that it can get pretty complicated with licensing, but we try our very best to make sure that it's easy to understand. One thing to note as well as we go through this demo. I'm sure you may have some questions and so forth. If we run out of time in terms of the questions, please let us know, and we can reconnect after this session. So in that with that, I'll pass it on to Sai, who'll talk about quite a bit of this component as a Microsoft MVP on the Copilot side. He is very, very knowledgeable in terms of Copilot Studio, which is what we'll cover today. All right, Sai.
Hey, thanks, Chris. Do you guys see my presentation or my deck, my slide deck?
You see the full deck.
Full deck. Okay, I think I'll take a couple of minutes to switch the deck to the presentation mode. I think
while we're waiting for you, Sai, to put that presentation up, I do want to make a note to, regarding implementing any AI services or Copilot within your organization. One thing that we do encourage all of our clients is to ensure that you have some form of AI policy within your organization. There's been many times, several times, where I would have a conversation of clients that are using some form of AI services with no AI policy within their organization. So what happens is that it becomes a security concern, primarily around people using company data and feeding it to perhaps ChatGPT. And so it could get pretty you can pretty much go in all the directions if it's not at least manager. You don't have any. If you don't have AI policy within your organization. All right, Sai. Looks like you just have to press that bring presenter, and I think people will be able to see it.
Can you guys see my screen, Chris? And others?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. We fixed our first technical glitch. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for sharing the information about licensing and also the background about this presentation and the session. As you can see, everyone, on the agenda side, first we are going to start with Microsoft Copilots and the agents. There are a lot of Copilots and agents that Microsoft releases frequently. And then we will move on to the standard. What is the difference between the standard Copilot versus the custom agents that we can build? Then we talk about Microsoft 365. It is called as M365 Copilot architecture, really at the high level. And we discuss about custom agents and Copilot Studio. In this slide, I will talk about how can we create the custom agents, not only use the existing Microsoft Copilot agents and Copilots, but we can create the custom agents also. What are the tools or softwares that Microsoft provide? The next one, we are going to talk about custom agent integration. Assume that once we create an agent, Microsoft custom agent, how are we going to integrate that agent with Business Central or with any of the Microsoft suite of applications or databases. Then we talk about MCP, followed by agents and Business Central. Prompting and grounding patterns. The patterns are the best practices that we advise to our customers when implementing this artificial intelligence based copilots or agents. There are some best practices and tools that we can help you guys. This prompting and grounding pattern is one of those. So we talk about that. Then there will be a demo followed by this, how in the Business Central, how we can integrate or use the Business Central MCP. Let's get started. Okay, what is Microsoft Copilot? The definition is like this. A Microsoft Copilot is an AI assistant embedded in Microsoft apps that enhances the productivity. That means the Copilot, whenever you see in the Microsoft ecosystem, the word Copilot, that is authored by Microsoft. Microsoft owns it. It create that ecosystem. There is a licensing or maybe involved, or some of the things, some of the products may come complementary with the Copilot. And when we see the word agent in the Microsoft AI ecosystem, what that means is AI system is designed to autonomously execute multi-step business workflows. So Copilot can be a user interface or UI for AI. That's what Microsoft calls it. And agent is the actual worker bee that works when a user interacts with this agent or the Copilot or the chatbot. Let's look at in the Microsoft ecosystem how what are the prominent or pre-built copilots and agents that come with. So M365 copilots. So in the Microsoft 365, there are a lot of copilots that come already with. I'm sure some of you might have already used it. The copilot is available in the Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and Teams. In Dynamic 365 Dynamic 365 is a business suite from Microsoft. This business suite contains a lot of products from financial management to the Business Central to sales, marketing, and other areas. Given the focus of this session is predominantly on the Business Central, here I referred the Business Central for the Copilot that we are going to discuss about. In the Business Central, Microsoft already pre-built the sales order agent, payable agent, and map e-documents agents. There are a lot of other agents are also Microsoft keep on developing and publishing. As a Microsoft MVP, we get some preview. We can look at them and give the feedback to the Microsoft. But once the preview is done, they will be available to everyone to consume. So right now in the Business Central, these agents, anybody who is having the Business Central with proper licensing, they can use these agents. They talk to the databases and makes the life easy for the user to interact like how you interact with the ChatGPT. Microsoft Fabric Copilots. Microsoft Fabric is a data platform from Microsoft. If you are using Dynamics 365 or any of the Microsoft products, directly or indirectly, you are using Microsoft databases. Power BI is Microsoft's analytical and reporting tool. This Power BI is also having copilots embedded inside them. So data factory is a way to move data from your customers or your vendors inside into your organization. Means, let's say if they want to drop a file from their ecosystem into your ecosystem, there are some solutions in the Microsoft Fabric that uses this the file that is being sent from the client or partner external to your company into your company using this Copilot. We can configure this Copilot so that your file sharing can also become easy. And also real-time analytics. This is also one of the products in the Microsoft Fabric. It also comes with inbuilt Copilots. And another important part of the Copilot ecosystem is Microsoft Security. I'm sure if you are a Microsoft customer, you will be using Microsoft Azure AD or Microsoft Entra. That's what the new branding is. In that also, Copilot is already embedded. That means as a user, you can use like how you use the chat GPT to interact to get the data. You can use the Microsoft Security Copilot to interact with your organization's data about the security. Azure, as you guys know, this is a Microsoft cloud-based offering. In the Azure, there is a compute, storage, and other aspects of the product lines are there in Azure. Azure also comes with a Copilot that helps the people to interact like how we interact with the chatbot. GitHub and Windows. Windows is the operating system, as you guys know. GitHub is the tool that is being used by a lot of developers to write the code and to manage the code. Inside that cool tool, also Copilot is embedded. On the right hand side, you can see in the image, the Copilot exists already, is pre-built in Word, Excel, Teams, Notes, and SharePoint, Power Platform, PowerPoints, and other areas of the Microsoft ecosystem. Let's move on to the next slide. So let's review what is the difference between standard Copilot and the custom agent. On the slide, you can see standard Copilot is the built-in Copilot that is already pre-built by Microsoft and given to us. So we just get the product license and use that. Whereas custom agents, we can develop the agent. Means in your organization, assume that you have a use case or a business requirement where you are interacting with the application, right? Now, what Microsoft is enabling us to do is it enable us to create a platform where we can create, right, how we write the software applications or systems. Now we can write them custom agents pretty easily. Let's look at Microsoft 365 Copilot architecture. In this architecture, really at the high level, as a user, we interact with the Microsoft Office suite of products. What happens is when we interact with the Copilot, especially in this use case, the request will be sent to the Copilot. And Microsoft, what it does is, in order for any Copilot or any chatbot to work efficiently, it created a Microsoft Graph database. So probably this graph database, there is no licensing required from you, but this happens internally. This is what is happens when you send a request to the Copilot. The request goes internally to the graph database. The graph database will go and access this information. Here you can see there is a boundary, right? No need to worry about whether this information is being used by Microsoft or any other organization, because this Copilot we can configure. Tigunia can help you guys to configure to look at the data inside your organization, and this information will not be exposed. We can put a security controls around your data and the agent so that this data will not be a published to the internet or ChatGPT. Any other tool cannot access it. So that kind of security configuration already comes with Microsoft Copilot. When we build a custom agent, we can also do similar kind of a thing. So the licensing part of the Microsoft Copilot, like Kris mentioned, we will talk about it later, but architecturally and technically what happens is there is a big heavy lift that happens with the Copilot. Every Copilot need to have its own database, and it indexes the data, and also it goes and creates this large language models which are used by all the chat GPTs or any AI chatbot. Let's move on to the next slide. Here, now the question is, we understand the previous slide and we looked at it, how different copilots from Microsoft we can leverage and use, especially in the Microsoft Office suite, right? In your organization, or if a user wants to build a custom agent, this can be done using the Copilot Studio. What is Copilot Studio? In the initial introduction, I mentioned that I am the Microsoft MVP in the Power Platform, right? This Copilot Studio is one of the tools in the Power Platform, which enable the user to create custom agents. So if you want to go ahead and create an agent, AI agent, what you need is you need a Copilot Studio. and right set of information and knowledge. Then using drag and drop with low code or no code environment, we can create the AI agents seamlessly. Let's look at the architecture when we say what happens when we create the agent, right? Every agent that is being created with Copilot Studio is first secured, means it follows the industry standard security framework called RBAC. RBAC stands for role-based access control. Means first we define the roles for this agent and what kind of resources this agent can access. And we can control or we can configure the security around the agent. So one of our best practices and recommendations from Tigunia and yeah, especially when you guys are developing any agencies, start with the security and have a very clear idea about how we can create the security role and who can be the part of the security group and what kind of access this security role can have so that this agent will not go rogue and access all the information, because when we give a data source or knowledge source to agent, it can get the information. So the first step in creating the agent is making sure that it is secure. So inside Tigunia with customers, we do a lot of this kind of agent development, configuration, lifecycle management. So we are well versed in this agent creation and management also. This Copilot Studio is one of the tools that we use to create the agents. Here you can look at the agent starts with this security first approach. Microsoft Dataverse is the data source for this agent, and it can have multiple data sources or knowledge sources when you are creating an agent. This agent can be published. Here you can see the channels. Once the agent is developed and secured and have a appropriate access, it can be published to Microsoft Teams. This is Slack is also similar to Teams. This product is bought by the Salesforce, so we can publish to that also. And here you can see the Messenger, and we can publish to Copilot also. So when we are creating the agents, the important steps are making sure that it has the right knowledge source and it is secured, and the channel that we are going to publish. And on the other side, here you can see a lot of other components, right? Here, yeah, Azure bot service is being used internally by the Copilot Studio when we created the agent. So as a drag and drop user of this agent, for you, it's not required to know more details about it, but when you create the agent, automatically this bot service will be invoked and the processing will be done. This Azure Open AI is also based on the standard LLMs. From this Copilot Studio, we can select any of the large language models, whether it can be ChatGPT like GPT-5 or Google Gemini, or we can go with Anthropic or Meta. There are different large language models that are being published every day by different organizations. So when we create this agent, we can say that, hey, this uses this kind of large language model, like from the chart GPT in that case. We can take that as an example. This agent can also interact with Dynamics 365 or suite of applications and data loss prevention policies we can put around these agents. So this is one of the most powerful ways to create the agent in the Microsoft ecosystem. There are different ways that we can create the agents, but this is one of the easiest and most secure and efficient way right now to create the agents. We are well versed with creating these agents. We created multiple agents and deployed those agents also. Here, one more term. Here, it is ALM. This stands for Application Lifecycle Management. So what we are saying is in the life cycle of any agent, right, from the development, monitoring, all those things, we can do in the Copilot Studio along with some other add-ons. Let's move on to the next slide. Assume that now we created an agent, right? Once a agent, custom agent is created, how are we going to integrate this agent? Means what are the challenges that an agent once we create, it's like a, you can think this as a software application, right? In your organization, there will be a lot of software applications. So once this application is there, how are you going to integrate that application with your ecosystem of your organization? There could be data, there could be employee data, there could be vendor data, there could be a lot of data sources, right? All these agents like software applications or systems cannot live on their own. They need to be integrated. But when we try to integrate an agent with the other systems, there are common challenges that we notice in our implementations. Some of the top four challenges or issues or problems are the tools are fragmented. The way this agent interacts with another system or any system, let's take a human resource HR system, right? If the agent wants to read the data from the HR system, there are different ways this agent can go and get the data. They can get it sequentially, or it can get you can use the tools. There are different ways we can get the data. And how do we govern that? There are different ways to govern these agents also, but we need to have a standard practices and tools and best practices. And the context discovery, the difference between any software system versus these agents are, these agents like ChatGPT, they are having the context, right? They can complete the lines. They can go and do research agents. Broadly, we can classify agents in two types. One are thinker agents and another are doer agents. But for these two agents, there will be this kind of integration challenges. Assume that these agents we build, there are some integration challenges. How are we going to solve these integration challenges? Are there any best practices or knowledge that out of our implementation experience that we have, or are there any industry standards? Yes, there are. There is one industry standard. It is called MCP. The MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. Just follow me. Given there are four sections of this image. Let us take an example of USB-C. Right before USB-C, I think a couple of years back, if you have a camcorder, if you have a phone, or if you have a laptop or any electronic device, there used to be a different connectors and different chargers. But when USB-C came, it solved the problem. Most of them and all the latest and new gadgets are having USB-C port. We just hook the port and connect to the charger or connect to the system to transfer the photos or data, anything. Like that, MCP, the Model Context Protocol, is also USB-C kind of a framework, where here you can see this AI agent, what we created, can interact with the different systems, let's say HR system or your ERP system, your sales system, using different ways like APIs, XML, GraphQL. But with the introduction of this MCP, this AI agent can connect with any of the systems using only MCP. This is similar to how we are able to charge or any electronic gadget or use the USB-C, charge or transfer the data. So, just to simplify, this MCP is similar to the USB-C, so that this standardization is proposed by a company called Anthropic. And this proposal, like similar to USB-C, is very well accepted, and all the companies like Microsoft, OpenAI, Google, and others are using this MCP protocol, like how this USB-C is used by a lot of companies, Apple, Samsung, Dell's, and other companies. This MCP protocol for your AI agent is standardized, and this when you create this agent, you can plug this agent into any of the products that are available in the Microsoft, OpenAI, Google, and others. Given this is a new protocol, some of the product lines are coming fast, like Business Central. Already there is a MCP. Assume that, let us take a use case. You create a AI agent. Say you want to so you created a AI agent to get the information from them sales orders, and that you want to enhance that what Microsoft gave, because let us take a use case, you may be having some customization. So this is a custom AI agent that you built. If you want to get the access to your business central data, you can use this MCP protocol to connect to the business central. So already Copilot Studio is having this enabled. We can see that as a part of subsequent slides or demo that we are going to show you guys. Can I move on to the next slide? Do you have any questions or comments? Feel free to post it in the chat. Our team is observing and they will try to respond, or we will respond back after the session. Let's move on to the next slide. How the agents are going to connect to the business center. This is really at the high level, very bare bone, and this is especially written for the business users, partners, and architects. Here is the Copilot Studio that previously we discussed. Using this Copilot Studio, we create an agent. We say, let's say, Agent X. This Agent X can connect to Business Central right now in two different ways. One is the standard way, that's how before this AI and all those things came, using the connector. So the connector generally it is a one way, or one way in the sense it will not store the context. Like in the ChatGPT way, we are having the context in the ChatGPT era, right? The AI agents will have the context. It is like asking a question to the Google versus asking a question to the ChatGPT. This connector is asking a question to the Google. You will get a sequence of answers, but when you ask the next question, you will not have the context when you use this connector. But when your agent uses this MCP connector, it talks to the MCP server that is already pre-built here in the Business Central, and we can maintain the context. That is the beauty of the MCP server. If you chose not to use the MCP server, if you want to go and send a request one at a time and get a response and you create your own context here, we can do that. But that is really costly in the sense of building that kind of context takes a lot of effort, a lot of resources, to put it simply, human resources, time and money and all those things. But MCP will simplify all those things. Now, when your agent asks a question to the Business Central, you get an answer. But when you ask a second question, it already using the MCP, this MCP connector gives the context to both Business Central and also the agent. So in this way, the agent that we build can connect to this Business Central. But the same agent, if you want to talk to different HR application, assume that your HR application is in, let us say, Workday is a company that provides this HR suite of applications, or SAP or Oracle, right? Then still your agent can go and have another MCP layer connector. It can connect to your SAP or Oracle and gets the data. So when you write this kind of applications that can scale using this MCP architecture, that is going to save any organization or any project a lot of time and a lot of resources in terms of time, human resources to maintain and to enhance also. So that is the reason we feel like this the world of agentic world, creating the agents and using these agents connecting with the Business Central for this session using the MCP is the one of the best ways, so that your agent can do multiple workflows. So right, most of the time in the past 6 months, what we observed with our client base or our implementations are people are creating agents to do one task. But now the agents can do multiple tasks and can connect to the multiple systems also without needing to have this kind of connectors, right? They can use the MCP. And the next slide, in this next slide, we just, this is a high level pattern that we feel like this is very well, used and have a very good ROI is to translate the user questions into the business central entities. When a user sends a request using this pattern, we can specify these accounts or dimensions and periods, and the MCP can query this agent can query using the MCP to this Business Central server and can get the response, not actually request response kind of a scenario, but you can get with the explanation about your data set. In this case, if your data set contains Business Central accounts, dimensions, and periods, when you send a request using the agent that you built using this MCP to your Business Central, you can ask the natural NLP kind of a questions, natural language questions. Get me the accounts that are over 1 million and the payments are due. Pay accounts receivable is pending kind of a questions that we can ask using this kind of agents, and include enough context so that we can, when we include like how we interact with chat GPT or any agent, if you give more context and if you are more granular, you will get the answer so specifically. That is from me. Kris, when you are ready, do you want to add anything, or how do you want to go from here, Kris?
No, I think this is a good time for us to share how to start building your custom agent. And then we'll do it step by step. We'll touch a little bit of the areas to consider when you're building custom agents. And then, of course, we'll connect it to Business Central. There's two ways to connect to Business Central. One is the existing tools and triggers. And then the second would be the MCP server, which is what Sai is showing up right here. So there's a Business Central connector, which calls on specific APIs. And then the second one would be connecting with the MCP server. And there's reason why you want to do one or the other as well. One is to, if you want a very specific parameter for them to, for the agent to interact with, and the other one is perhaps giving it access to quite a little bit more as well. So with that, I'm going to share my screen here. And I think I have to. All right, you guys should see the MCP server or Copilot Studio. Sai,
Yes,
can you
Kris.
confirm that you're able to see it? All right,
Yes,
perfect. Perfect. So I have a Business Central environment here. This is going to be my demo environment, even though this is production environment. So don't mind that. And then we'll go to Copilot Studio. So to get to your Copilot Studio is, by the way, you could set yourself, I believe you could set yourself a trial for this. So if you want to kind of dabble on it a little bit, to get to that, it's copilotstudio.microsoft.com. And it's you'll have to log in and so forth and start playing with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start a fresh new blank agent. So there are options for you to take a look at some of the templates that's available. But what we're going to do is just create one from scratch. The scenario that I want to add is to be able to interact with Business Central from perhaps creating a brand new contact, as simple as that, via a chat. The other option would be to gather, maybe perhaps get some information out of Business Central without going into Business Central. And we can expand upon that. So for example, we perhaps when we are interacting with Business Central and getting information, we may want to email it or post it on a Teams channel and so forth. So we'll take a look at that as well. So you give it a name. So right now I'll call this data agent for BC. Of course, you can change your icon. And the description of this is very important as well. having it a specific purpose of what this agent do. So I would say pull information from Business Central and ability to send email. Let's say, for example, I want to send the email based on the data that I'm pulling from. Microsoft also added the ability for you to choose which model you can use. For example, the default is 4.1, but there are additional ones as well. So for example, GPT-5 is the updated one. For example, I've been using the GPT-5 chat. It's a little bit more faster, but then you can also do some reasoning as well. So for example, if you're interacting data out of Business Central and you're passing it on to maybe another tool or another agent, you may want to have it give you a little bit more reasoning. In this case, for example, I'm just going to use the GPT-5, and it should go ahead and change that for me, processing the request. And of course, there's triggers and instructions. So we'll talk a little bit more the instruction component here, which is very important to have in terms of creating parameters for Business Central. So for example, if I am using this to gather information, I may provide some description of what it does. So I could say a Business Central agent that can gather information from Business Central. And also keep in mind, the more information or instructions you can provide, it prevents it from going different places. For example, if you're getting data out of Business Central for sales order, maybe your top 5 or top 10, or maybe my top customers that in terms of sales, you may want to set an instructions where if a user does not provide a date range, to give it a default date range. Because if you don't, what it's going to do is it's going to make a guess, and it's going to give you it may give you all the data, and so you may have a couple of years of data, and that may take a little bit of time. And again, that will prevent from major, huge usage of your token. So somebody had asked that question on the chat as well. So I can also specify only getting from customer and items, sales, and then item sales, and analyze data, present it, and send it via email. So we'll add a little bit more instructions here in a little bit just to kind of keep going. You can also add your own knowledge base as well. So for example, maybe perhaps you have some additional information about your company, about a product, things like that. Maybe item information. You can also add that knowledge here. You can also prevent it from going out to the internet, looking at public website. So by default, it is disabled. So you can turn it on if you like. Now, personally, I like to keep this turned off. Just so that especially if you're interacting with Business Central, you don't want to go out and then find some data that you don't really need. So, and we'll talk about the tools, the agents. You can call other agents. So if you build a data agent, for example, getting information, but you also have an agent for shipment confirmation agent, then you may want to have that interact, especially if you're pulling data and you say, hey, I need to see if this product shipped or this order shipped. You may have a separate agent for that. That way you're specifying the rules. Ideally, agents works really well if you have a very well-defined task for the agent. Of course, the additional topics you can add there as well, and then it'll give you suggested prompts. This allows for people that interacts with this agent to kind of understand what kind of questions that you should be asking as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that here in just a minute. So once you get this one set up, the next step is to go ahead and look at the knowledge base. If you want to add some knowledge base, no, I want to save this one. Save here. So each area has a save section. Just keep that in mind. So I'm going to again save that instruction as a starting point. And get my description, triggers, yep, instructions. Okay, perfect. And then we'll move to the knowledge base. Right now, I don't have any knowledge base, but you can add knowledge base. The most important one for me right now is going into tools. This is where you create the connection, what your agent can do. So what I'm gonna do right now is add a tool. Right. And then at this point, we'll have it load here. So it's going to make some suggestions. So if you have any other requirements in terms of, where do you want to connect to, there are plenty of tools. I'll give you some examples here, like Teams, for example. If you want to put some messaging there, you may want to put and save files in OneDrive and so forth. But you can also search. So if I search for Business Central, it's going to give me some tools here. It's not searching for me. Business Central. Okay, let's go to connector here. Business Central. Let's search for new tool. Back. See if this word business would provide me some results. Okay, there you go. So there are a few. Someone had a question about on-prem. So there are on-prem triggers here as well as a tool or connector. So get item types and so forth. So there are there, but the MCP server right now is only native to Business Central Online. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, Business Central, how to connect with it. So in this case, I want to perhaps find records as a starting point. Now we're going to talk about just kind of a standard simple connector. And then it's going to ensure that you have the access to Business Central, and then I click add and configure. As I add this connector here, consider what you're trying to accomplish with Business Central or with this agents particularly. So if you just wanted to find records and return records like that, you can do so as well. Wait for that to load. Here's where I'll show you the importance of connections and ensuring that you are connecting to the right data. So let me actually remove this here to a little bit more screen availability. So if we take a look at the connector finding records in Business Central, as you can see that it retrieves customers or items. Here in the input, you don't want, I highly recommend you change this and don't have it dynamically fill, because if you have multiple environments like sandbox and production, and you may have additional sandboxes, you don't want it to give you the wrong information. That's why it's very important to customize this and ensure that you have the right environment. So let me go ahead and set that custom value. If you actually just press on this, you don't have to enter it. It'll give you a list of your environment. So in this case, I want to connect to my sandbox environment, especially if you're testing it. I also want to set this as custom value because you may have multiple companies. I only want to return that direct, return the result based upon a specific company. And then API category. So if my requirement is to pull or get information from a particular table, I have to make sure that I set the API category should be version 2.0. There's some old versions here as well, but you want to use the version 2.0. And if you have custom ones as well, which you can create custom ones, they would show up here too. And then table name. So table name, for example, we're going to do simple one. We'll just do contacts. So yeah, and that's pretty much it. You can also add additional things like do you want it to respond something in return after it gives you the result? So it may give you the result, but then it doesn't do anything. So you can always have write the response with generative AI. So at least it's giving you something like a confirmation. So that's the first. We can go ahead, hit save here, and then we can test this out to see what it's going to give you. And then we'll talk a little bit more MCP server. Actually, we're running out of time. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add another one. We're gonna add the MCP server. So MCP server, you'll find Business Central MCP server under the model context protocol. And as Sai had noted, eventually they'll add additional MCP servers in here as well. So there's the Business Central MCP server. And then it's going to do the same thing. All right, so it's going to confirm. Again, same idea. Set the environment, the proper environment, company, bonus. And if you have an MCP server configuration, this value, you can leave it blank. But if you look in Business Central, let me jump in here really quick. Jump into my Copilot, because that's what we're connecting to. And then there's an MCP where you can set this up as well. You have to enable this. Oh. Okay. So search for MCP. This is in version 27.2. So you should be able to create a sandbox. If you're in Business Central Online, create a sandbox for version 27.2. There's your model context server configuration. This is where you can create your own MCP. So in this case, I've already have a sales data. So if I open this up right here, I can go ahead and create specific tables that can interact with. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So when I'm connecting to this MCP with sales data, I may want to limit what it can do. For example, it can modify and read, but not necessarily create, right? So I can also have it say allow delete and so forth. So I added a bunch of these here, but you can minimize what it can do and what it can interact. So if you're only pulling information, you may not want to have the ability to delete a record. You may just want to allow it to create, if it's a sales order, or modify a customer record, or create a sales credit memo and so forth. So that is created. There's also a checkbox here. It's allow, create, update, delete tools. I enable that so it allows me to choose all this information. You can also have set additional objects if you have additional objects. I usually keep that off right now because I want to maintain that. And then, of course, dynamic tool mode. So it will look at other tools and configuration within this information. So I call this sales data. So when you're connecting to this via Business Central or via agent, I can give this name as sales data. All right. And then, of course, I should be able to refresh this. What it'll do is give me the tools or the way it interacts with your system, particularly. Let me see if it's saves for me here. I'm going to save it. This is where it would execute. So it should give me this list. If it doesn't, I'll jump into an existing, because of time. I'll jump into an existing one that's already built. Okay, so it's not open. So let me jump into an existing one here. Come on. Hopefully it's not on my side. Environment. Come on. Give me my list. So as I'm pulling this up, what are the common things that you've built so far with Copilot Studio in terms of using other MCP servers in the past?
Yeah, there are to answer your question, Chris. These agents, there are a lot of agents that we can build in the Copilot Studio. So some of the agents that I build with different customers are event management. So if we have a event information, we can get the information out of that, and also customer information. If you have a customer information embedded in or in the business center, if you want to interact with that, you can go, as a user, people can go and search for the customers, rather than if they want to have this kind of agentic functionality, they want to go and ask the questions like, get me the customers, that kind of questions. So we build one pilot agent.
Yeah. So there's quite a bit of options for you to do that. So as I pull up the instructions here, this is connected to both similar to the one we just created. So I can go ahead and start and say create a new contact, have it allowed to create a contact record in this case with the tool. So you create a new contact. Name is Sai T, and his email is sai@tigunia.com. So let's see, go ahead and interact with this one. As you're testing this, it will showcase how it, when you're testing, it shows how it thinks. So as you can see, it connected to the MCP server, and then it found that I do have a separate connector action, in this case, create contact record. So it bypassed that. It's like, look, I'm not going to do this. I see that there's already another trigger that would allow this. If you guys remember, I had set this up to give me a generative AI response. So it told me that it created a new contact successfully in Business Central as a company type. So if I go ahead and take a look at in Business Central, I should be able to see this information. Come on. It's thinking hard today. Contact. So we should see size information here as well. See, T, you're right there, my friend. So your contact in Business Central is fairly quick as it creates that information. I can also ask it, because of the MCP server and I'm connected to Sandbox Copilot, I can also ask, my who are my top 5 customers with the most sales order, with the most open sales order, and see if it's going to give us that information. Now, as it's being built, or as it interacts, you'll see that it's giving you the process that it's taking. It's connecting to the MCP server. It looks like I don't have any open sales order, probably because they're all released. So how about who are my top 5 customers with released open sales order? See if it's going to give you that. As it's building this out, I have also connected this to the email as well. It's not valid. So it's in draft, in review, or open. So that is correct. So right now in Business Central with MCP server, it does refer it as draft. Check draft instead. So anyway, as I was mentioning, there are a tool here that I connected to the email functionality of Business Central, where it allows you to go ahead and email the result. And then, of course, it asks me if I want to generate an HTML report or include additional information in this case. So I have a data on these 3 customers here, my top customers, with 7 draft orders for this customer, and I can confirm that in Business Central. I know we're at the top. Sai, I'm going to pass it on to you. I'm not sure if you have a little bit of time to kind of showcase um, of the things you've built, kind of a high level, and then we'll kind of end the webinar. If you have any questions, by the way, after this, be more than happy to continue and showcase what else you could do with Business Central as well.
Uh, Chris, great demo. Looks like we saw you build the agent live, and we are able to interact with the agent. Looks like this is how this Copilot Studio we create the agents and interact with the agent with natural language processing. And there are a couple of questions that came up in the chat. Also, we will answer those questions, or we will reach out to you guys in the email. Thanks. That's it from my side. Chris, looks like we are not. We are almost done with the time. So.
Yep. All right. Well, I appreciate everyone's time. Apologize that this ended early. Before you leave, though, I do want to add the importance of instructions. So as I've noted, I've set parameters here. If no date ranges, I set only the last 3 months. And if you are emailing it, you don't want it to email just a blob of text. You can also set up to do an HTML and add a signature. And what that does is going to go ahead and format it so that it's readable with the exchange contacts. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate everyone's time here. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email us as well. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm going to answer some of these, by the way.